Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Newhouse here on the campus of Syracuse University. Riley Underwood and Nicholas Waley with you for Newhouse Afternoon for the next hour. It's now the second week for you and I doing this, so it's good to be back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lots to talk about, especially on the basketball side of things. You know, Monday was a difficult night for Syracuse as a whole. You know, worst ACC loss ever for Syracuse men's basketball. Also one of the worst defeats just in the history of the program. But it was to a really, really good Duke team that shot the ball better than I think I've ever seen in one half of basketball. 72%. You know, Duke shot better from the field than they did from the free throw line in that second half.
But it really didn't matter. I mean, by the second half, the game was already over. I mean, it was 40-24 going into halftime. I mean,
I wouldn't say it was over because there was that one stretch where I think Duke went on an 11-0 run to end the half. And it was because Syracuse coughed up the ball 3 times in a row.
Right. Which,
of course, is not good. That's fundamentally just bad basketball. But at the same time, Duke just played an unbelievable game.
I mean,
Syracuse didn't shoot that badly in the second half.
No, I didn't shoot. I mean, they shot 37% from three for the whole game. So, I mean, no, by any stretch of the imagination, no. Syracuse shot the ball well. They shot 2 for 8 from the free throw line. So, I mean, that continues. But, I mean, that wasn't the cause of losing this game. I just think... I mean, you talked about it. The biggest loss for Syracuse in their ACC history. I mean, it's just that can't happen. Losing 101-64. I mean, that's just frankly, it's an embarrassing output. And to cap off this season, it's not one you want to snowball into more and more as the season goes on, because Syracuse was coming off, I mean, I don't know if you call 2 wins in a row hot, but as hot as they'd been for the entire season. They beat California. They beat Southern Methodist, which is an NCAA tournament team. So it did feel positive going into, again, when you're playing the third-ranked team in the country, you're playing Duke on the road. That's always going to be a tough game, but you'd like to see them compete more than they did.
I agree in a few respects. It just shows where, you know, of course, 10 years ago, Syracuse and Duke was probably the most must-watch game of the season. You know, it was 35,000 people in the Dome, or the students at Cameron Indoor camping out for months and months to just get a seat to watch Jim Boeheim and Coach Mike Krzyzewski go head-to-head. You know, things are different now. Duke transitioned between eras seamlessly. Syracuse is struggling to make that transition, and looks like it seems like there will be another transitional phase. But it's rooted in, I think, a problem that has just started a long time ago. That it's just, I think once the rest of the top end of the ACC, the Dukes, the North Carolinas of the world, they've ascended. They've embraced the new era of NIL, and they've taken it to a new level. They keep investing, and you know, it's also part of that tradition. It feels like Syracuse has lost that tradition, and I think fundamentally Syracuse is still a top 15, maybe even top 10 job in the country at the moment. Syracuse is a basketball school at its core. It's just where's that passion that we really felt when you would feel when you were growing up watching Syracuse play. And you know, the game on Monday really shows how that just the difference between the two programs.
Syracuse was mentioned on Pardon the Interruption yesterday on ESPN. They said that game was brutal. That was not competitive. They showed a shot of Carmelo Anthony in the stands because his son plays for Syracuse. I felt badly for him. There's something really wrong at Syracuse. They've got to go to a reset. And I think you could look at that 2 ways. One, obviously the negative way. I mean, you don't want to be in the news for that reason. You don't want to be mentioned with that, because they're talking about what's the biggest stories of college basketball right now. That was the day after the game. That was one of their biggest stories. The positive you can take out of this, Nick, is that they're talking about Syracuse. They're talking about this. If it was a Wake Forest that lost by this margin, I don't think they'd be talking about 100%. A total reset at Wake Forest, because they don't have that aura in basketball. Syracuse still, they're not at the point of no return yet where you can still get some of that back. Obviously, some changes need to be made, but I think you can take some positives. Obviously, we all know the negatives, but there's a little bit left in that basketball brand at Syracuse.
Especially in the last 2 weeks, I think we've seen Syracuse come into the limelight of what, like, the nation is noticing that something is just not right, you know. And you see it on X, you see it on Instagram all the time, that college basketball is better when Syracuse is good.
Yes.
And I 100% agree with that, because you think about some of the most iconic moments in the history of college basketball. Quite a few of them have Syracuse involved. You know, the 6 overtime game, Syracuse UConn, the Syracuse Duke games in 2016, those last minute winners, the highest attendance of any college basketball regular season game ever. You know, that's the culture of Syracuse basketball, and people like watching Syracuse play, and I think it hurts, especially the basketball purists. It just hurts them in the soul when they see Syracuse just lose the way that they did.
And the ACC, I mean, the ACC has gotten better this year. Last year Absolutely. They had 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. Right now, bracketology has them slotted at 8. So they've doubled that number. So it's not that the ACC has kind of lagged behind, which they have a little bit the past few years, but they've improved year over year. This year, Syracuse just has kind of lagged behind. And like I was saying, they were talking about on ESPN yesterday, this kind of feels like a Juwan Howard at Michigan situation, where Michigan had so much going for them. They hired Juwan Howard. He takes them far in the tournament, and then the second and third years just really bad decline. He ends up going 8-24. Obviously not as bad of a record as Syracuse has right now, but now you see Michigan get a new coach. They're the number 1 team in the country. So they hadn't lost that. It can be recovered.
Absolutely. Michigan, by the way, has been my pick since week 2.
Okay.
It sucks that now I look like a bandwagon, but I promise you I've been high on Michigan since day 1. But no, like, that's why Syracuse is still like 72 in the net. That's not great, obviously. That doesn't get Syracuse anywhere, even in consideration for the NCAA tournament. But, you know, they're ahead of like Florida State, ahead of the likes of Notre Dame, that, you know, aren't having great years, but they're still like above 500, and Syracuse right behind Stanford, who have 4 quad 1 wins. You know, that Syracuse is fundamentally not a bad team. They're not. They're just playing in a conference that has just teams that are, number 1, just better, number 2, just are coached better, and in the modern era of college basketball, where it feels like all the top teams they can now handpick the talent. You know, the margins are that much closer, and it's that much tighter. So, and like you mentioned, the Michigan example, they go from an 8-24 team to arguably the favorite for the national title. So that's in a transition of just a couple of years. So that tells you how quickly things can turn around for Syracuse if the right decisions are made. But also, it just shows where Syracuse currently sits in the pecking order.
And also a Duke player that, besides the boozers that everyone was watching, if you're a Syracuse fan, you're watching Malik Brown, who came off the bench and had a good game. I mean, he doesn't put up the most points or anything, but he led the team in assists, 5 assists, comes off the bench, 19 minutes, 6 points, 2 for 3 shooting. And this is really kind of a player that Syracuse would like to retain, because when he was at Syracuse, he was a starter. He was one of the best players on the team. Now he's kind of coming off the bench in that 6-man role for Duke, and he's really shined. But I think that's the problem, partly, is when you're not retaining those players. Malik Brown was a glue guy when he was at Syracuse. He's a glue guy now at Duke, but he was one of the best players, I'd say, when he was playing for Syracuse 2 and 3 years ago. Now, obviously, he's not the best player talent-wise on Duke, but those are the kind of players that you need when you're trying to win ball games. Malik Brown may not show up in the stat sheet for Duke, but he helps them win ball games. Syracuse, do they have that kind of player? Maybe a Will Kyle, maybe someone like that, but they need someone that is the glue guy.
Absolutely, the rotation just doesn't. It doesn't seem like there's any fluidity, and I think Monday was a prime example of that. Syracuse didn't have a bench point until 9:20 to go in the game. Fundamentally, that's a problem. Like Kai and Anthony came in and then started hitting some shots, but at that point the game was over. So, like, what does it take to get those guys to come off the bench and make a big impact? How does Sadiq White really just stamp his authority on the game, and how Cayenne as well? How does he gain that consistency? You know, these two guys who are still very young, two guys that if you're Syracuse and whatever happens in the future, you're desperate to keep. Fundamental. I keep saying that word. I should stop saying fundamentally. But they really need it. They're gonna need to write the check and get those two guys to stay, because you want them to be at least two building blocks, two pieces to build around whatever happens. So that's where I have a big concern. Like Donnie Freeman looks like he's probably going to go to the draft. I think he's still probably a second-round pick. You know, there's going to be a lot of building to do, and I don't think the Syracuse roster is bad by any means. It proves it
hasn't been the past few years, but the results just haven't produced.
I don't think last year's was bad. I think I don't know if you agree. This year it's 20 times better.
Right.
The roster,
but the record
does 100%
stays about the same,
and that's no, it's not a big enough jump. So I don't know. I think that there's more problems than just what we're seeing in terms of the roster, but also just fundamentals anyway.
Well, we've got some opportunities to maybe turn it around a little bit in the later part of the season. We are in the later part of the season, but how about we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think well, right after this break, we'll talk about what the future holds for Syracuse men's basketball. Still 4 games to go.
Big one coming up at
UNC at home on Saturday. So make sure to stay tuned. Come and join us on QSportsTalk.com. Come join us for the conversation in between the breaks. But yeah, we'll be right back on Syracuse on ESPN Radio. Syracuse 97.7, 101 FM. Don't go anywhere. Newhouse afternoon. I know, how many times did I say that in a block? I know. I think I said it like way too many times though. But, you know.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but we got speed skating on in the background as well. Shout out the Olympics. So South Korea, did they win? Is that why they're crying?
I don't know. Some of these sports, I don't even know how you can decide that you're good at, like the luge, like when they're sliding.
Oh yeah.
Like how do you even know you're good at that?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Jamaican bobsleigh team. You've seen the clips of like that from that film. I forget what it's called.
No, I haven't seen the film. I know this.
I know it's like, get ready, it's a bobsleigh time. Like I love it. Like, you know, but that's what makes the Olympics special though. It's just because it's like, you know, you don't talk about a sport for 4 years and then, you know, it'll come up. And that's why, you know, I got into an argument with one of my students in a class that I TA for.
What class is that?
312, the radio class. Okay. So sophomores.
Do they listen to the show?
I hope so. I hope a couple of them are from Syracuse locals, from East Syracuse. So hopefully they...
So what was the argument about?
No, it's just how he said that the reason why like people are going to watch the Winter Olympics is because the NHL players are now playing in hockey, are actually playing. Like that's a huge drawing point for the Winter Olympics. And I was just like, I bet you there are more people that watch figure skating than the hockey.
I'd probably agree with you.
Because, you know, if you think about it, if you're a hockey fan, you are watching the NHL anyway. You know, you'll probably you'll
bump them up.
It'll bump them up. 100% it will. You know, but will it be as big of a change? Like you're still gonna watch Canada or the US play. You would have watched them play 4 years ago in Pyongyang. Not Pyongyang. No, that's totally wrong. Where was the Winter Olympics before? I know. No, I know. Sochi was 20. God, where was it? It was in South Korea.
2022 Olympics.
Beijing. No, it was Beijing. Okay, but where was it?
China.
Where was it? Yes, thank you. Where the heck was it in 2018?
Pyeongchang.
Pyeongchang. Okay, so I was nearly right.
Yeah, you're right.
God, that's so bad. I'm gonna get cancelled. It's over.
Pyeongchang County, South Korea.
I'm getting cancelled. Oh no. FCC, please don't send any fines, please.
And where was the 2014 games?
Sochi.
Yep.
Russia.
You
Yes.
had them all. They're just.
Well, Vancouver was
wrong order.
2010, I think. 2006 was.
You're good at this.
I have a feeling it was in Europe. Was it in Milan?
It was in Turin, Italy.
Oh, okay. So I was right, kind of.
Yes, it was in.
And 2002, no idea. So Salt Lake City.
That's right.
I know my major sporting event.
All right, 1998.
Hang on.
You're not gonna get this.
You don't think I'm gonna get it?
No, you're not gonna get this.
Really?
No.
Is it in Asia?
Yes, it is.
It's gotta be in like China somewhere. Is it in China?
No, it's in Japan.
It was Japan.
But I've never even heard of this.
What
place.
was the place?
Oh, Nagano.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that. Absolutely no chance. Yeah, from then on, I don't really know. But, you know, I still 100%. I think, like, even curling this year was probably I think even more people were watching that, especially recently, just because the US did so well. I would think.
People are big into curling.
Dude, everyone was watching curling. It was a huge thing.
I don't know.
I know Paul. Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon from the Newhouse School here at Syracuse University. Nicholas Waley and Riley Underwood still with you. We talked just about maybe just the problems of Syracuse men's basketball that have not just sprung up in the last 48 hours, but also just what's really, I guess, the fun. How many times can I say fundamentals?
I don't know. A lot.
A lot. Just what are the issues? You know, where is it all stemmed from? But you know, I think it's not healthy to be so negative all the time about this team. So I think we should look ahead because, you know, at the end of the day, Syracuse does play UNC on Saturday in the Dome. Should be the highest attended game of the season. It is a UNC team that obviously has its eyes on the tournament, but also has to get maybe at least a few more wins for a better seed in the ACC tournament. Syracuse absolutely needs that as well in a lot of ways. But I think Syracuse is due a big win. Obviously, that Tennessee game feels like a long time ago. Defense, I think, will be crucial in this game because this is a Tar Heel team that's just an absolute buzzsaw, but have proven to be vulnerable with losses to Miami and SMU
and NC State.
And NC State, excuse me.
They lost last night. A big loss.
Exactly. So that it's proved. Unfortunately, I think that loss might have been a little bit too soon because now now Syracuse is a rebound game for UNC. But still, it's proof that they are vulnerable,
especially without Caleb Wilson. I mean, in his absence, they've lost 2 of 3. So they're 1-2 without Caleb Wilson the last 3 games. Last night they lose to North Carolina State, 82-58. That's a bad loss as well, Nick. We were talking about Syracuse bad loss. That's a bad loss for North Carolina. Leading scorer for the Wolfpack.
I could take a guess. Quadir Copeland.
That's right.
Exactly.
Hugh Copeland, 20 points.
Another player that Syracuse, I think, would like to have at the moment. But
another high-energy guy. But, I mean, I think the point you can take away from that is that this is a North Carolina team, that needs to refocus, but it's also a team that they need to refocus for a reason because they're losing. They're not winning like they're used to, and this is a chance for Syracuse to capitalize, especially at home. And for the Orange, this could be a big game, especially coming off a huge loss against Duke It's another. Someone has to win.
Exactly. Somebody has to win this game, which is absolutely right. The thing is, as well, Syracuse already played UNC earlier on in the season at the Dean Smith Center, so center, arena, something like that. But while that game was also decided pretty early, Syracuse did make it within 10 points. And it was a pretty decent, and really just started piling on the points. And there was a point where UNC did start to get a little bit worried. They had to bring the starters back out and really start to, protect the lead. While Syracuse couldn't overcome the I think it was 24-point deficit.
It ended up being 87-77.
Exactly.
A little over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there will be a familiarity about this game if. Hopefully, Coach Red and his staff saw the mistakes that were made, especially early on in the game, what impact the bench could make in this game, like Tyler Betsy and Kyan Anthony to hopefully especially shoot from outside. Free throws obviously will be a huge factor, I think, in this game. That could make the difference. But I think Syracuse could absolutely can get the job done.
They've kept it close in recent years. Last year, they only played one time. They lost at the Dome 88-82. That was a close matchup, and then you take it to the game before that. That was at Syracuse. Court-storming win, 86-79. And that was coming off a loss just a month earlier in Chapel Hill that Syracuse lost 103-67.
Yeah, the previous worst loss in the ACC. So, that tells you that it's in this modern ACC, absolutely anything can happen. And if Caleb Wilson is it confirmed that he's out for that game too?
I think he should be. Yes.
So. At the very least, he won't be at his best. And when your best player and probably a lottery pick in the draft next year is unavailable, we saw how NC State exposed that, and I think Syracuse can absolutely do the same. If UNC are scoring less than 60 points a game, and Syracuse, even though they've struggled as of late, even though the Syracuse have been scoring as well. 79 points against SMU, 107 points. Obviously, it was in overtime, but Syracuse was already in the 80s before OT. So it'll be defense, but I think the Syracuse offense has everything covered from what I can see. Yeah,
Caleb Wilson hadn't officially been ruled out, but he's pretty doubtful right now. He fractured his hand last Tuesday against Miami. This game coming up on Saturday. I don't think we can see a timeline for that return. So I think Syracuse is in the clear for now, and that can greatly increase their chances. After that game on Saturday, Syracuse plays at Wake Forest the following Saturday, so another week break for the Orange. Then they go on the road to play number 1 Louisville, and then close out the season at home March 7th versus Pittsburgh. So those are a couple winnable games. Wake Forest definitely winnable. Pittsburgh is very winnable too. They're last place in the ACC. Louisville is a little more tricky, and North Carolina as well. So those are two hardest games. But Wake Forest and Pittsburgh should be wins right now for Syracuse. Save face a little bit toward the end of the season. Right now, Syracuse sits at 11th in the ACC, 6-8. 7 games behind first place. Yeah,
you definitely want Syracuse. I think you definitely need to win 2 of the next 4 to not just be at 500 in the ACC, but just to have a little.
Well, they won't be at 500 in the ACC.
They wouldn't they not be?
No,
they're 6-8 now.
Right. If they won 2 of their last 4, Nick, they would be 8-10.
Oh, see, this is why I'm not good at math. I can't do addition properly.
Now, if they went 3-1, then they'd be 500.
Okay. Right. Bad. Okay.
Yes.
We can just gloss over that.
But they're locked into the ACC tournament. 15 of 18 teams make the ACC tournament.
So,
they're locked in.
But you want to get a better seed. So I think that's the other thing. I think other thing about it. See how Florida State, California, Virginia Tech, all just ahead of Syracuse. How they do. there's a lot of still very good teams in the ACC. But if you want, maybe if Syracuse can get up towards that 10 seed, above that 10 seed, you get a first-round game against the Virginia Tech, against the Cal, two teams that you feel confident that can get the job done. But these are two teams that Syracuse, well, they did lose to Virginia Tech, but did beat Cal. Both games were very close. I think it'll be really interesting to see where this team really sits at the end of the day, because in some ways, like I said last week, just let go. There's nothing to lose on this season at the moment. You want to just give it everything you've got, and hopefully that I would like to see Coach Red just dip into every tool he's got and just throw everything he has at the rest of this season.
So talking about the ACC as a whole, obviously Duke leading the conference right now. They're 13-1. ACC slated to get 8 teams in the latest bracketology report. What do you think about this conference as a whole moving toward the future and toward the NCAA tournament as well?
I think ACC is going to prove a lot of people wrong in terms of how far they're going to go in the tournament. I think obviously the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the SEC are unbelievably strong. They are. The SEC, I think, has slated 10 teams to go, if I'm not mistaken.
SEC has 11 right now.
Has 11 right now. So, that's ridiculous. It's like that's 2/3 of the conference, right?
Yeah.
Or even more than that. 3/4.
Big 10 has 12, SEC has 11, and Big 12 and ACC both have 8. Difference between the ACC is more kind of top and bottom. There's kind of a clear separation. Big 12, it just seems like a lot of people are just beating up on each other. Over there, and then Big East only has 2. So that's something
which is interesting.
They will like to correct for moving forward, and then
basically you look at, for example, if you look at the ACC in terms of just guaranteed teams that are going to at least cause trouble, and I think will have a chance of making runs. Duke, UVA, Clemson, Miami, I'm definitely high on. I think they're going to have a good run. NC State now has come into the picture. I think UNC get Wilson to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if they rest him for the rest of the regular season, because UNC is pretty much a guarantee into the tournament. Louisville as well, a team that are a top 25 team and maybe haven't done amazing in the conference so far. And then you've got SMU as well, that's sneaky good as well. Other than that, there probably isn't anybody that can make it to the tournament, I think. I know Florida State won't. Cal could if they go on a good run, but otherwise, I think in a lot of ways, the ACC, I think, will have at least maybe 2 or 3 teams that make it to the Sweet 16 at the very least, maybe even 4 teams to the Sweet 16, and I think they'll get 3 teams to the Elite 8, and I think
that'd be a successful output.
I think it'll be a very successful output for the ACC, because Big Ten and the SEC, like we saw that last year. The SEC they had teams go far, but a lot of their teams did lose in the first few rounds.
So lock in your pick now. Are you still sticking with Michigan as your pick for the national champion?
I think so. I've picked them since
you have to.
I've picked them since the Players era. So, it sucks that they're number 1 now, but I don't know. It's hard for me to. They just keep beating up on everybody. Yeah. They beat Purdue by 11, I think, double digits. The other night.
Purdue's good.
That's another really good tournament team. So, I think Michigan have it in the bag.
All right.
I'm
going Big 12. I'm going Arizona.
I think U of A.
I think they're just too good. I think I know the Kansas game they lost on the road. Allen Fieldhouse, a really tough place to play. I think Arizona is just a really, really good team, and I think they'll put it together in March.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Before we get off the subject of Syracuse basketball, I just want to talk about it because I have some comments on the history. We talked about this is the worst ACC loss ever. So I want to list you. This is the 5th worst loss. Tied for 5th worst loss ever in Syracuse basketball history. Let's take you down the list. Number 4. We talked about number 5. That was on Monday. 101-64 Duke wins. Number 4. This is in 2006 against DePaul.
Yeah.
So Jim Boeheim was the coach. 108-69. That was a 39-point loss.
Wasn't that at home as well, or was that on the road?
I didn't do that much research into it.
I'll look into it.
Go look that up. That'd be a crazy home loss.
I think it was. I think that was the whole thing. That was why it was such a big deal too. I'll figure it out though.
All right.
No, it was on the road.
Was not.
Yeah, all right. That was crazy. In the dome,
No,
that would
was
have been
in
crazy.
March. No, that was in March. All right, number 3. This is the crazy one. This is in 1903. A.R. Scott was the coach. 49-3 was the score.
To 3?
To 3. That's a football score.
Jeez. I think that was a football score this year. Now that I think about it,
3 points.
It might have been.
No good. Number 2, LaSalle in 1954, 103-54. And then number 1, December 15th, the terrible December 15th of 1961.
You remember it well.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Syracuse loses to New York University, NYU, 122-59.
Wow, man.
63 points. That was the worst loss in Syracuse history. Just wanted to put it out there for you history buffs that were wondering what the worst losses were. I don't think we're going to get 63 points anytime soon. I sure hope not. And I don't think NYU is... Well, they're not. They're not playing,
even. Yeah,
so.
they're definitely not. Does NYU even have? They're probably D3.
No,
no?
I don't.
Do they even have? They definitely don't have D1. I know that for sure. Soccer, I know they're D3.
Let's see.
Who knows?
Let's see. NYU men's hoops, men's basketball.
So they have a team.
D3. There you go.
They're D3. See, look at that ball knowledge.
Ball knowledge. D3 champion.
All right. Well, that's enough. That's enough basketball talk. Let's talk about Syracuse football as well coming up after the break here on ESPN Radio Syracuse Newhouse Afternoon. Still chugging along. Come and join us on QSportsTalk.com during the break. But stick with us here on 97.7, 101 FM.
Cool.
No boogie woogie oogie. I do love that. Man, do we have any food upstairs?
There's some cookies. That's like the pink and brown.
Yeah. All right, that might have to be my lunch.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of those. So yeah, you can have a couple.
And Griffin hasn't eaten all of them yet.
No, he says he doesn't really like them.
What is that is the biggest load of what I've ever heard. He eats like 4 of those every day.
That's what he said. He said, well, if he ate 4 of them, they'd be gone now.
I don't like them. That's very, very accurate.
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good one, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's see where everyone went. I think I knew most of these, but it's kind of crazy to see. Hey, Luke Carney went to Houston?
I know.
Jeez. Carney to Houston. I mean, Syracuse really got hosed. Yeah, Elijah Moore's not too bad from Florida State. Bye, Ricky. He's gone. No way. No way.
Oh, man.
Hi, Doc.
Let's go.
It's good to know that you're listening. That's hilarious. Yeah. Oh, man. It's just crazy to think that now we're already in It's February 18th already?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Yep. It's been 2 weeks now for us since we got back?
Yes. Over 2 weeks.
Jeez.
2.5 weeks.
It absolutely flew by. Really did.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Short track. Speed skating. Do you know how to skate?
I do not. I've never even attempted.
Really?
Do you?
I did it once.
Were you good?
No, I had to use the little wheelchair thing that they have.
Oh, nice.
What do you call it? Like stroller almost?
Yeah, like a walker thing.
Like a walker thing? Yeah. I tried and then I fell on my butt.
Yeah.
And I hurt my tailbone really bad. So
would you try it again? Give it another shot?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Not right now. I've got a bum ankle.
Where's that from?
I very elegantly fell down the stairs.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was bad. I was gonna go downstairs to put laundry on, or just check on my laundry, and I didn't turn the light on, and I went to step for a step that for whatever reason just wasn't there. So yeah, I fell, rolled my ankle. It's pretty bad actually.
Did you cry?
Pretty close. It hurt really bad.
He cried.
Well, do you want to see a picture?
No,
of
I don't. I wasn't saying. I was just wondering. I was wondering how bad it hurt.
Yeah, well, it's because oh no, I totally forgot.
One of our members in the chat says, Ricky gonna shock the world next season. Hot take. Hey, maybe.
I think he will.
You know, I could have used that, but I'm not gonna steal it for our hot take segment. That's all right.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, Kennesaw State. I think he could shock. He could shock.
I think so.
Georgia.
You know, Kennesaw State, a team that they went what, 10-2?
They're pretty good.
Yeah, they were.
Ricky Collins could shock Conference USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went 10-4 overall.
Shoot. I had an appointment at Barnes, and I kind of forgot.
Well, it's no good.
Whoops. Totally forgot. Newhouse afternoon, still ongoing. Nicholas Waley and Riley Underwood with you here on ESPN Radio Syracuse. Wanted to talk a little bit about just what's happened now that the college football portal has
slowed down.
It's slowed down.
Yeah.
I think it's still
most people have found their homes.
Yes, more than likely. There's still a couple guys in the air, but I think more than likely we've got a little bit of parity and about where everyone ended up, especially for the Syracuse team, because a lot of guys did jump ship.
Yep.
It wasn't a great end to the season, but that's what we're seeing now in college football. Guys are taking that opportunity. So I thought we should have a look at.
Let's catch everyone up.
Yeah, that's where
Syracuse lost 29 players to the portal. So 29 players entered the portal.
It's a lot.
All but 5 have found their homes right now. And I think the most interesting I already said it. Most interesting position to look at, both on the incoming transfers and outgoing transfers, is the quarterback position, because Syracuse had such a revolving door of quarterbacks last year after Steve Angeli got hurt. And so some of the backups that ended up leaving. So you have Luke Carney going to Houston, and we talked during the break. You were very surprised about that, Nick.
Yeah, I was overall. I mean, I wouldn't say I was surprised that he left, because I think the way he was handled throughout the season was not very good. I mean, if you were going to use him and flirt with using his flirt with him redshirting, play him for at least half a game, not just 2 snaps. That was my fundamental issue with that. But I think on the other side of things, he went to University of Houston, which is another program that's kind of on the come up. They've had a couple good winning seasons. Be interesting to see if he is the number 1 starter over there. But the other one as well, that's a more obvious one, Ricky Collins going to Kennesaw State, right, which of course is one of the newest FBS teams. It only started 2 years ago, but they went from going, I think, 4-8 in their first season, 2-10 in their first season in the FBS at the FBS level, and then they finished 11-2.
They were 10-4. They won Conference USA last year.
Yeah, which is incredible. To think what the work that they've done down there in Atlanta. So I think it's a decent landing spot, because then you also have the Kennesaw State quarterback,
right, it ended up being
went the other way.
Trade. One of the first trades.
Amari Odom.
Amari Odom, who was excellent for the Owls last year, transfers from Kennesaw State to Syracuse. But I think that's interesting. I mean, you have him and Malachi Nelson, he transfers from UTEP, but just a few years ago. I mean, he was the top prospect in the country. So to having him and 3 very capable starting quarterbacks for coming into Syracuse, I think that's interesting, because obviously you have the revolving door last year where you would have liked to have a more reliable quarterback to back up Steve Angeli, but that was just because of an injury. It's not like there's a huge quarterback competition going on. So for those 2 guys who were starters last year to come in and kind of know they're coming in to be the backup, that was just a shock to me, but a good one for Syracuse, because if anything like this happens again,
right,
you know you have two very capable guys coming in to back him up.
But what that tells me is that there's going to be a competition.
Okay.
You know, with two transfers coming in that have the experience.
So you think all these guys think they're going to win the starting job?
Oh, I would think so. You know, there must be, and also, I mean, we'll see. You know, I think in a lot of ways, you just mentioned his name, the UTEP quarterback.
Oh, Malachi Nelson.
Malachi Nelson. Like he's a guy who has a lot to prove. You know, didn't have the most incredible season at UTEP. So
no, I mean, he was a 5-star.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest recruits from out of high school we've seen in a long time, and all of a sudden, and like, you know, there's got to be something there. You know, there's no way that you were a five-star guy and you just didn't have the talent. So I think you got to have something there. My issue is that, you know, Steve Angeli is not like he just fell off the face of the earth.
Right.
He was getting healthier, and they've seen some pictures recently of him, you know, working out. He doesn't have his brace on anymore.
Kyle McCord was at the facility the other day.
You know, he was, and those two were chatting and having a good workout together. So, you know, that tells me that Steve is still the guy, and we cannot forget how good he was up until his injury.
Led the nation in passing yards.
And pretty much beat Clemson. You know, he had put the team on his back in that game before the injury, and Syracuse was well out in front, and probably that was the moment we realized that Clemson were like just the beginning of the end for them, really, on the season as a whole, and expose Dabo Swinney and the entire Clemson Tigers program. So I think Angeli will be the number one right away. I don't see why he wouldn't. But, you know, maybe the idea for Coach Brown is let's give guys a little bit of incentive. We know the mentality is a huge thing for him. So if having more quarterbacks, it will push Steve over the edge and make him an absolutely elite quarterback, and maybe even an NFL prospect in the future. You know, I'm all for it.
Another quarterback that a lot of people were kind of wanting to push into the starting role, Jakari Williams, and never really got maybe his fair share, a lot of fans said.
Right.
He went to the Bears of Southwest Mississippi Community College.
Yeah.
So he's going back to prove himself. He'll be probably the de facto starter there, and then try to go back and get another Power 4 offer coming out.
As the Cam Newton.
He was always looked very good in the spring games, and everything we saw, just really didn't get his chance in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I was always surprised he never got a chance, and you know, because he was a top prospect out of high school too. So, you know, I believe he was a 4-star. So, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, why wasn't he given the chance last year when the quarterback situation just looked so dire? The fact we had Joe Filardi playing games, playing many drives as a quarterback, you know, guy just beat the number 1 team in the country of Maryland on last Friday. So he's a lacrosse player, which, you know, nothing against him, but like what was really going on behind the scenes? Why was he not getting a chance?
And then perhaps the most exciting position people are excited for is the running backs, because Juwan Johnson comes in as the highest rated incoming transfer for Syracuse, comes over from LSU, where he was not the starter, but he rushed 41 times, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. So comes over from Ricky Collins' old school. Sure, a different result. People and coaches are hoping, but Juwan Johnson comes in with a little bit of experience last year. He could compete for the starting running back job with Yassin Willis going to Kansas and leaving, but Juwan Johnson's a player that I think the coaches are high on this year for Syracuse.
I think so too. The run game was very important for Syracuse, especially down the stretch, and it was the only way Syracuse was trying to generate any sort of offense. And once that was shut down, it was curtains really. But it's having a run game is so important, and in the ACC where you're not always going up against the best guys. You want to be able to play in the air. You want to play on the ground too. So I think Johnson will be a good addition. He's only a sophomore, so plenty of years of eligibility. And yeah, like you mentioned, the top-rated transfer for Syracuse. I have a few question marks about the receiving room because all the best receivers for Syracuse, and which was arguably the strongest position depth-wise for Syracuse, that's all gone. Manuel Ross Simmons, he's gone to UConn. Jonte Cook off to Ole Miss.
So is Darryl Gill.
Darryl Gill is
close off the running backs.
Yes.
Jaden Hart goes to Connecticut. Malachi James goes to Eastern Michigan. Ahmad Miller comes to Syracuse from Jackson State. But to the receivers, I agree with you. This is where Syracuse suffers the biggest loss in the portal, where two of your best receivers, Jonte Cook and Darryl Gill, both leaving to go to Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big surprise. I think that they both jumped ship and both went to Ole Miss, and of course an Ole Miss team that was right on the doorstep of a national championship. So it'll be interesting. I like what Ole Miss is doing anyway. I think they're going to be a contender next year. So can't really.
Pete Golding fan?
Yeah, I like Pete Golding a lot. I think he's just good. It's just good vibes. Good vibes. But and that's what makes it difficult. It's a difficult decision when the SEC is calling. Can't really say no, especially to a team that will be contending and you'll be playing. That will be the biggest question mark. Who will be the receivers that Angeli or whoever is the starting quarterback will be throwing to? That's the one part of the team that I'm very concerned about.
Jonte Cook and Yasin Willis, I think they were expecting them to leave and probably even encourage them to leave. But one player, they really wanted to retain Darryl Gill.
Yes.
They did not retain him. A couple of incoming transfers. Matt Otten comes from Penn State to Syracuse. Elijah Moore from Florida State to Syracuse. Cole Weaver comes from Miami of Ohio to Syracuse. And the outgoing transfers in the receiver room, there's a lot of them besides the ones we mentioned. We have Jalen Hornsby going to Purdue, Gabe Daniels to Tulane, Emmanuel Ross, you mentioned him, joining Jaden Hart, going to Connecticut. Teron Hale going to Austin Peay, and Jameer Thomas still has not found a home yet. Offensive line, not much movement, honestly, either way in the portal there.
Which is probably a good sign,
right.
I think. You don't, especially those positions, so vital in so many ways in the trenches. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a good sign. It's also that's just the reality of the situation, is that those guys aren't the ones getting paid the NIL money in the same way that the receivers and the running backs are, and the quarterbacks. So, I think the Syracuse, it's going to be again about injuries, about depth. But if Syracuse once again with this schedule playing 9 games in a row without a bye, how will the linemen survive that, and how will the depth really be dealt with? So it'll be interesting.
And then a tight end coming in from Western Kentucky. You talked about the receivers, who will probably Angeli throw to. This is a guy that could come in as kind of a sleeper. He got 3 touchdowns last year, 32 receptions, which is a lot for a tight end. That's a high volume for them. Comes as a 3-star prospect from the transfer portal. But Noah Myers is a player to watch as Syracuse goes in. He could definitely compete for the starting tight end spot. Couple outgoing transfers just to catch you up. Eric Thomas, the defensive lineman, and D'Angelo Thompson, they both go to Memphis. Quante Gillians goes to Temple. Caden Brown goes to Florida A&M. Jaheed Lassane Jr. goes to Monmouth. Chase Simmons still has not found a home. And then on the linebacker spot, James Hurd has not found a home. Derek McDonald goes to in-conference foe North Carolina.
Yeah.
Team Diggs, not found a home yet. And that's the That's the truth of the portal right now. I'm sure a lot of these guys will find places to go, but everyone gives you that pitch, a little snake oil salesman pitch where, yeah, portal's great. Your agency says, yeah, we can get you a lot of money, but you're at this point in the portal. You haven't found a place yet. It's probably not by their choice. They would have liked to have a lot of offers more sooner on.
Could they then stay at Syracuse, or do they?
But do the coaches allow them back? Because once you exit that door,
yeah.
You could see players saying, well, I didn't get what I wanted. Whoa, I thought you didn't want to be a part of the program anymore, and now you want to come back?
Yeah.
And that's what the coaches need to decide.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't afford, I feel like, to give up you can't afford to give in, especially even if you have a player that you maybe in a position you really need. Diggs is an example of that. Who knows? I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks and months because college football, we're still months and months away, but it's never too early to get excited for it. All right, well, we're nearly at closing up shop here on Newhouse Afternoon, coming up after the break. Do you have your hot take?
Oh, I'm going to get it.
Oh, we're going to have a hot take from Mr. Riley Underwood, so don't go anywhere on ESPN Radio, Syracuse 97.7, 101 FM.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't. It's just my regular one.
You can collaborate if you want. Maybe.
Let's see. Maybe. Depending on how good it is. What is my hot take going to be? It doesn't matter. You can just tag me.
It's up to you. Oh shoot! 2K is adding college teams.
Yeah, but not all of them. So who cares? You probably won't even be able to play with them. It'll just be like my career.
Yeah, seems like it. 16. Who are the 16?
Syracuse is not in it.
Oh, that's crazy. That's terrible. What time are we supposed to get out?
56, I think. Or
56.
55:20 or something.
Uh-oh. Are we kind of close?
Yeah, we'll make it quick.
Really?
All right. We'll be out by then.
Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Oh, man. So what is your hot take going to be about?
Men's hoops.
Men's hoops? Alrighty. We still got to get some hot sauce.
Yeah.
At some point. And then it'll make sense. And our hot take. Yeah, for for the culture. For the culture.
What sport are they doing now?
That's what I'm trying to figure it out.
South Korea, Canada.
The Canadians are what?
They're all bundled
up. Oh wait, who? The group at the end? They were like they're part of the
Out
mafia.
of place, yeah.
Because the Canadians are sponsored by Lululemon. Oh, this is for the
medals.
The medals. So, so the people dressed up like mafia. Yeah. So the people dressed up like mafia bosses, they're just the people giving out the medals.
I guess.
I feel like they're ready to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Say that the results were wrong. Oh. Wrapping up shop here on Newhouse Afternoon. Nicholas Waley and Riley Underwood with you. Riley, I did the hot take last week.
Yep.
It is your turn, my friend. So what's it going to be, and what is your hot take?
My hot take, Syracuse, the rest of the season will be undefeated at home.
At home?
At home.
In men's basketball.
In men's hoops, that's right. They will beat number 16 North Carolina on Saturday. J.J. Starling will lead the Orange in scoring for the first time this season in a win.
Okay.
And they will beat Pittsburgh on March 7th to close out the season. But they will fall on the road to Wake Forest, who will upset the Orange. And they will fall on the road to Louisville. So they will go 2-2 the rest of the season, like you said, which will not even the ACC record,
right?
But they'll end 8-10 in the ACC. But I have faith. North Carolina is struggling right now, and I think this is a game where Syracuse will be pumped up. There will be a big crowd at the Dome. It's broadcast on ABC, so big time TV on Saturday, 1 p.m. I see the Orange.
Get it done. Yeah. I like that. I like the idea of them going undefeated the rest of the way. I'm surprised about the Wake Forest pick. I am. Louisville, I think Syracuse will struggle to win there because
I think Syracuse, they've just struggled on the road this year.
They have.
I mean, they've struggled on the road. You lose to Boston College on the road earlier, which is not a good loss. I think. I mean,
2-5 on the road this year.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. The only wins on the road in conference play were Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh, which are not very tough opponents. Pittsburgh's better than, Georgia Tech's better than Pittsburgh,
but not by
which is why I see Syracuse sweeping the Panthers, the worst team in the ACC.
Yes.
But I think they can beat the Tar Heels. If they put their heads together, they can find out a way to game plan and win at home. Another court stormer. Do you think would they storm the court?
No, I think we got to stop storming the court.
Yeah,
it's got to stop. Like, just because you beat a top 25 team, this is Syracuse. We can't be storming the court all the time.
Right.
I think I've had a court storming in every year I've been here. Now that I think about it.
You usually don't court storm when you're really good.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the fundamental problem.
Right.
Because football, fine. I stormed the field. NC State 2022.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I won that helmet, which was really sick.
I do remember that. Nick won this helmet in a giveaway. I didn't know people actually won these. I thought they just pulled over one of the other employees to say, "Yeah, I won the helmet." And then
no, I won it. I was the Q super fan of the day.
The Q super fan of the day. Won this real game worn helmet.
That happened. That actually happened.
So that's my friend freshman year, Nick Waley.
Yes.
He's on the jumbotron. He just won the helmet.
Yes, exactly.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, of course I still have it. It's tucked away nicely.
Do you ever put it on?
It's a little tie on my head.
Man.
I got big brain, you know. But then that, and then Court Storm UNC.
Yep.
Then Court Storm Tennessee, and Field Storm Miami last year.
All right.
See, I've been on the
You've been all of
I've been
them.
on
You've been a part of all of them.
I've been on the hallowed turf of the JMA Wireless Dome. I think, and on the floor of the JMA Wireless Dome.
You're a super fan.
Dome. Yeah, I am the Q super fan officially. If you go back on their Twitter,
I was
like,
there.
yes.
I vouch. It happened.
It did happen. But you know what? I hope Syracuse does go undefeated at home. Should go undefeated at home. How big of an advantage do you think it is? Like home games in college basketball, because it feels like it's more than any other sport.
It depends. I think it depends, because if you're having those normal game outputs for Syracuse this year, I mean, the crowd's been on and off. It's still one of the biggest crowds in college basketball, even if it looks empty. I mean,
right.
It's just the venue is so huge. But if there's really it gets packed on Saturday afternoon, what else are you doing Saturday at 1 p.m.? Probably watching the Syracuse game at the Dome. I think if it happens, I think if it gets packed, if the crowd shows up,
right,
it could give them a big advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So make sure to follow along on Q Sports Talk on all social medias all week long in the lead up to the game. And also we'll have the pregame and postgame shows for that as well right here on ESPN Radio Syracuse. But that's all we have time for here on Newhouse Afternoon. For Riley Underwood, I'm Nicholas Waley. Thank you so much for tuning in and following along, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.